ahead. Let's do it. Good morning, Chair and board members. We have one member of the public wishing to provide public comment today on item number 4 of today's calendar. That is Miss or Reverend Logan. You can come up, please. Thank you.
Madam Board Chair, good morning, board members. Good morning, audience. That was the response to item number 9. I'm sorry, regarding recovery from Hurricane Sandy. I'm sorry, my error. I've had some complaints or just some concerns about the resolution regarding some of the NYCHA houses. I'm getting some calls regarding a lot of the houses are still under the damages from the recovery of Sandy, and unfortunately a lot of the members, I was under the assumption that everybody got their home, but unfortunately after the last snowstorm recently, a lot of people didn't get to go to contracts, and they're suffering with roofing problems now. They're suffering with water leaks in their houses, and I have one of the residents with me today that called me and asked to come this morning to the meeting. I know there was funding that came through for Sandy recovery, and I don't know if there's any delegated money that's set aside for FHA houses. So I'd like to make a request for that. I really like to make a request, simply because going back to Sandy, they're still suffering from these houses, and even though they're under contract, and about 15 to 20 houses are still held up from going to contract with these houses as well. I was under the assumption that everybody went through, but everybody hasn't received it. But not only that, the NYCHA has went to their houses, looked at the problem. There's roofing, there's chimney problems, there's even termites at this point. I thought all of those issues were resolved, but they weren't resolved. So I'm just coming before you this morning just to see if there's any allocation you could set aside for not only the past houses that are supposed to be going to contract, but I know now that there are still 30 to 40 or 50 people still living in FHA houses that are having questions and issues and concerns as well. I also just want to just make a statement again to say thank you for those that did receive their houses, and also to thank you for responding to my last meeting, my last statement through the development. Let's see, the Vice President of Development responded in a letter thanking me for my response and indicating that on the subject of the other vacant properties is continuing to work on redevelopment opportunities for these homes that will upon announce our plan. So I also like to get information about those plans as well. Thank you so much.
Chair, that concludes our public comments portion, and we may proceed with our calendar. We will start with a motion to adopt the minutes of our last meeting on Wednesday, December 23rd.
I motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We may proceed now with the chair's report.
Great, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Okay. First, before I get started, we've had some, as folks know, at the end of last year, we had several members of our team transition into different roles, and I want to acknowledge some of our new leaders here at the organization. Our new Chief Financial Officer, Karen Caldwell, is here. We are thrilled to welcome her. Karen comes to us with a wealth of experience in the private sector, in the financial sector, as well as in her civic life, having served as an advisor to the Chicago Housing Authority, so has some interesting perspectives to bring to us, some lessons learned, for sure. So we're thrilled to have her here as well. Carrie Jew is our new Chief Administrative Officer. We are thrilled to have Carrie join us. She's a former Deputy Commissioner of the Department of Small Business Services, having led the city's effort around MBE, WBE programming, as well as at the state, a lawyer by training, and a true public servant. So thrilled to have the team, the executive team, continuing to build out. So want to welcome those two leaders. A lot happening here in the first couple days of January. I think most importantly, most people, we released our fourth quarter 2015 Next Generation NYCHA report. This was something that we publicly made a commitment to at the release of Next Generation NYCHA, which was quarterly reports on our progress on our 15 strategies, how we're doing, where there's room for improvement. I'm not going to go into all of the details here. A lot of these things you've heard me and the GM and others report on, but I think it's important to highlight a couple of things. Our work on the mayor's first $100 million of the $300 million commitment to help protect and seal our buildings. I think this is relevant because the mayor was in Albany yesterday, encouraging the state to continue and follow his lead, and we look forward to that commitment, and hopefully the state will do that. Because we know water is the source of many evils for us here at the authority, and it is truly important to seal our buildings. I think that's really important. Construction has begun on 41 buildings already. And so Mike Rosen and the entire Capitol team and many other people are involved in securing our buildings and preserving public housing. So a number of other things that we've done that we've talked about last week. We were at Adams Houses in the Bronx, marking a very important milestone, a commitment that we made as part of this administration that we would complete council-funded CCTV camera installations in the year in which we received the funding. We completed the 2014-15 CCTV installation on time, on budget. Again, the capital projects teams and procurement and operations and all of the folks who were involved in that. It was a really, I think, interesting moment with the resident leaders at Adams Houses. Board Member Gonzalez was there. Mr. Topping, fantastic name, was the first to say, this is what residents want. They were so pleased to have it. They feel like NYCHA's being responsive, and we know this is just one part of a comprehensive safety program, but really important work that's happening in more than 90 developments because of that city council funding. So a number of other things outlined in this report. This is available online. You have hard copies. Try and save some trees and look at it online. But we will continue to do this going forward and look forward to answering any questions. I think another just quick highlight was, again, living up to his commitment, our commitment, the mayor and I attended a town hall at the Wyckoff development where we are planning to move forward with our Next Gen Neighborhoods 50/50 program. Approximately, I guess, 100 residents and many other people attended this, I believe, 3-hour evening session, and a really dynamic conversation. I think important to note that we heard residents' concerns around the difficulty of trying to envision a future when they're present in reality is sort of challenging. Issues around management, basic safety issues. So we've replaced management at the GM's direction and really working to support the management team there at Wyckoff to see the kind of results in the day-to-day operations of the development to help that would go a long way towards improving residents' quality of life. The reset of our engagement process there begins, and many of us were also at last night's city council hearing on our Next Gen Neighborhoods 50/50 program. Again, another dynamic conversation, if not, I don't know if conversation is the right word, hearing, but I think a really important step for NYCHA to continue to ground the public in facts about what this program is and what it is not. This is going to be a constant conversation that we have not only with our residents, but with the broader public. And we'll have more updates on the specifics of that work as the resident engagement continues to unfold. So that really concludes, I think, some of the major highlights. I think this is a really good summation of the work as it relates to NextGen. I'm happy to answer any specific questions before we turn it over to the GM for his report.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Just briefly, on the digital side of NYCHA, shall we say, I was wondering if I could have the opportunity, not today, of course, here in this forum, but to meet with them regarding a concern that I have about the NYCHA, My NYCHA app, that we're having difficulties with.
Okay, well, definitely look if you want to send me an email about those issues, we can
Sure.
certainly follow up on that.
Okay.
As with technology, it's a constant evolving process, so we look forward to getting any user feedback that will help it make it better for our residents.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Jan.
All right, thank you. Good morning, board.
Morning.
Morning.
Presenting the general manager's report for the month of the January meeting. Looking to do two things today. Look at sharing with you some statistics around our year-end performance for 2015 and some quick highlights from our NYCHA's response to the winter storm Jonas. Again, under the we're now looking at key performance indicators. Under operations, we like to look at our metrics against financial reporting, work orders, vacancies, and customer satisfaction. In rent collection, the rent collection metric measures the percentage collected from the total rent billed and arrears. Our target is 97.5%. In 2015, NYCHA collected 79% of the total rent amount due compared to 77%, which was collected in 2014. That's an increase of 2%, but as importantly, it's an increase of $56 million more to NYCHA from one year to the next. Things that contributed to that were that we are doing higher billings based to the start of our flat rent policy adjustments. However, we're implementing some improvements in terms of our rent collection, including reformatting rent statements to make them easier to understand, sending rent statements a week earlier to provide extra notice. We changed our tracking and reporting methods on delinquent accounts to ensure that all amounts are captured. And we instituted every other month we do what used to be called CompStat. It's a rent stat, we call it here, in which we look at metrics around our rent collection, and we look at best practices and ways we can continue to improve. Work order overview. NYCHA created 2.8 million work orders in 2015. That was 10% more than the 2.5 million that were created in 2014. About 2.4 million work orders were closed, about 6% more than the 2.2 million that were closed in 2014. And I think most importantly, the time to close decreased 30% from 19.7 days overall average to 13.7 days. Some of the things that contribute to that is our Fix It Forward initiatives under NextGen, and the 216 goals really looking to concentrate on productivity. You can see the final line in terms of work orders open in 2014 is about 104,000. Today there's over 140,000. We believe it's about productivity, and productivity about how do we get a better system of having higher systems and higher processes to get more work done. So it's clearly a 2016 goal is to reduce that overall amount. Emergency work orders are high priority. Items such as heat, hot water, gas, elevator outages, and NYCHA has a target of 24 hours to respond to these conditions. The average time to resolve emergencies has remained under the target, but increased 35% to 15.9 hours in 2015 compared to 11.7 hours in 2014. As I noted in earlier board briefings, one of the contributors was our in quarter 4 2015 out of order exterior lights were upgraded to our priority 7, which means that they should be repaired within 24 hours, which increased our work order numbers. and that there continues to be issues around the delta between when work is complete and when staff actually closes out the work order. Specifically, heating staff will close work orders as the heating staff does not close the work orders, the development staff does. So we're now looking at ways in which we can actually decrease the amount of time or make it more accurate when work is actually done compared to when the work order is completed. On maintenance work orders, the maintenance service levels measures the authority's performance in addressing simple repairs. We have a target of 7 days. This is one of our highest priorities in terms of metrics. How quickly can we respond to residents' concerns? The maintenance service level was cut down 21% in 2015 compared to 8.2 days in 2015 compared to 10.4 days in 2014. And a lot of this is attributable to the success of our OpMom performance under the leadership of Janet Abrahams, looking at a real focus on how do we respond to these things in real time, escalating issues that need to be escalated. And again, I think one of the big drivers has been our Fix It Forward initiative under OpMom, which is real-time repairs. As we're going in and doing inspection work, we're actually doing work in the units. And so we're opening and closing work orders in real time, which is impacting our service delivery times. Skilled trade continues to be a major concern. The skilled trade service levels measures the performance in addressing more complex repairs such as carpentry, painting, and plastering. The service level increased 74% to 79 days in 2015 compared to 45.3 days in 2014. We believe that the review of the performance in 2015 was tied to issues with planning and logistics. And we have begun the task of looking at what we're calling pain points in our business plan review of how skilled trades are issued and how they are responded to and reported. And again, I think one of the things that we're driving to is the successes of having a more decentralized approach to our operations, where property managers are empowered to make the kind of decisions that would have a real impact in terms of our service delivery around skilled trade work.
Yeah, I just made a note to see exactly that.
On apartment turnaround time, the apartment turnaround measures the average days to reoccupy a NYCHA apartment after it's been vacated. Our target is 30 days. The turnaround has shown significant reductions. It was down 21% from 68.2 days in 2014 to 53.9 days in 2015. We believe that we have a couple drivers of that decrease. We're now looking at quarterly review of the apartments that are off the rent roll. This allows us to efficiently plan and strategize for these apartments. So we're getting a better feel about when apartments will be vacated, getting a better handle on marketing the apartment while we are doing the work. So the day that the apartment is complete, a family can move in. And that ties to the second driver of the performance is our better communication interdepartmentally between all of our various departments that are responsible for apartment turnaround. On customer satisfaction, it measures the percentage of residents satisfied with the overall experience with the repair. This information is obtained from the results of the monthly robocalls conducted by CCC for closed work orders. In 2015, 80.3% of residents reported being satisfied with the repairs, which is actually down from 83.5% that were satisfied in 2014. This is an important tool that we're looking to try to measure our overall performance, and it's one in which there's going to be we're driving for better coordination between all the various departments to see what issues specifically are residents having problems with, so we can address those issues more with a more nuanced way. So, Winter Storm Jonas. Sorry, please.
On the apartment turnaround time, your target is 30 days, you're now at 53 days. What do you think it would take to kind of make a significant dent in that number to get it closer to 30? That's quite a gap.
Yeah. Well, I think there's a lot of things that we need to do. We need to look at how we approach both the marketing side as well as the fixing units physically. On the marketing side, we need to do a better job of identifying which are potential residents, their family size, and where they want to be, and sort of pooling them in a way that there's a there's a shorter distance between the decision-making time. What's included here is the time that the resident says, no, I don't want to live in the Bronx, I want to live in Queens, all right? So actually trying to have a better idea of family composition as well as where the family would be ideally.
Sort of
matched.
identifying the right family on the waiting list.
Yeah, we're doing that now.
Yeah,
We could do a better job of that. Was mentioned before, looking at those apartments that we know folks will be moving out and starting the whole process of identifying unit size and where people would want to be. And as importantly, looking at how we get into those units and get in and out of them quickly by having a better coordination of our repair work. That measure is tied to the other issue we have around skilled trades and others. We need to do a better job overall of doing work. So as we tighten up our skilled trade activity, we should be having higher productivity around the timing around returning.
Yeah, I asked that because this probably would have a significant positive impact on the financial situation as well.
Oh, yeah, we lose, yeah, exactly.
Cut that time period down quite a bit.
Exactly. It's a profit and loss activity that a real estate company is going to book.
Madam
Thank you.
Chair,
Thank you.
with the work orders, the numbers that you're giving as far as work orders, is that a cumulative number including the emergency work orders as well as the maintenance work orders?
Yeah, yes, it's a 2 million plus work orders is all the work orders.
That's all the work orders, okay. And so then this breakdown, you broke it down into each individual category.
Correct.
Now, next question. There was a time when we spoke about changing the process to, how we deal with the work orders, as if when you're going to the same apartment with multiple issues. Now, I don't know if you implemented that new program that you had stated, that we were going to take all the multiple tickets and see if we can perform them, as many of them, in one day. And then to see how quickly we can move forward. Have we implemented that? And what kind of success rate have you had?
We have started it. We've probably got a quarter four of 2015, maybe a little bit of quarter three 2015 worth of data. We are now looking to be fully operational by March of this year for that real time effort that you're talking about, where our maintenance folks go in armed with all the tickets that had been reported at that unit at the time of the inspection. So that they're now prepared to deal with the units that the residents have already told us they have problems with, as well as additional work items that they identified during the inspection process. And they're coming in with the equipment to do the work in real time. So that's the big change also. Carts are coming in with the equipment that look at larger, sort of more generic repair items like fire alarm systems or smoke detector systems and screws and locks and valves and things like that. But they're also coming armed with the materials needed to address the specific repair items that were pre-identified. So the data isn't fully fleshed yet. We just started this basically in the fourth quarter of 2015. So that program hopefully will have better indicators when I report to you again a year from now.
Actually, so can we not wait till a year? Just to push on that, because I think as part of Fix It Forward, there were a couple of different initiatives. There was one call, there was real time
Right.
dispatch, which is what you're talking about.
Right.
And so it would be, I think we'll probably have maybe 2 months maybe of complete data, and we're adding developments to the pilot as we go. But it would be interesting if we could do a month to just 1 month to 1 month comparison to see,
Right.
is it moving? Is
Right.
anything moving?
Thank you.
And then, because like if it's not working, let's not do it. Let's not
Right.
spend a year doing something that doesn't work. So I actually think let's do something before a year and see if it's moving the needle on not only work orders. And I think it's important. Well, we're an old system, right? We're gonna have work orders. So I think it's important to shift our measurement of success from the number of work orders to our ability to service and the time to get to those work orders. I think those are the real metrics, and that's the fellow board member and I were looking at the times, because I think that's where there's a lot of work to be done there.
You have a question though?
Yeah, no, I mean, it goes to that point, whether the data has been fleshed out by month or quarterly to understand when the spikes happened as well. Because my question is what changed between the years, but maybe a more pressing question is when did it change, right? When did the shift started to happen, and maybe fleshing out the data monthly, or
Well,
might
this
exhibit
particular
some of
report is actually different than my regular. This is actually intentionally done as a summation report from 2014 to 2015. The reports I would give to you on a regular basis show the monthly trending. So I think getting back to the chair's point, we'll have a better opportunity month by month through the board presentations to show that monthly trending. But it was almost by design that was not done for this presentation.
Just to add on to that, you would think that if we do this process, cuts down on work time, instead of having to wait, the resident is not inconvenienced as much, because now instead of missing work 3 or 4 times, maybe all they have to do is miss it once, maybe twice at most, depending upon how bad the repairs are in their apartment. And so not only does it save money, it saves time. We have the people, whether it be skilled trades or whatever the issue is, will be more efficient in order to get that done, and the expenditure of money is then lowered. So
Board member.
No, I'm going to piggyback on something that Victor said. One of the issues that we have to look at is there's different types of work that has to be done in an apartment. There's the regular move out that may not be difficult. You have fires. You know, we had one in Red Hook. I mean, it's been months and months. They just put windows in, so that's a different kind of skill trade need. But my concern is I saw recently where they were going to hire additional skilled trade workers. The advertisement was $300 a day for carpenters. Did we hire extra laborers to get some of this work caught up? And then there's the Sandy piece, the apartments that were devastated by Sandy. That's a whole different type of repair. Yeah.
Well, Sandy's a little different in terms of just the capital piece, but no, the answer is no. We actually have we have a fixed sort of head count around our operations. And I think one thing that I did not say, but I think it's important for the board to know, the number delta between the operations of 2014 to 2015. 14, there was an extraordinary amount of overtime that was used to meet those numbers. We did not use that this year. So we actually improved overall productivity without dipping into the overtime budgets as much. But I'm not familiar with any additional kind of restaurant carpenters. It's overall our ongoing replacement and ongoing PAR system for filling staff was kind of a routine activity.
My question is, who, with the skilled trade people, who are they accountable to? Because I've been told at my development by the managers that they kind of do their own time thing. So are they accountable to anyone?
Yes, they are. But to your question and point is that we're shifting the dynamics so that accountability, where it happens in the private sector property management world, is the property manager is responsible for everything that goes on at the property. Okay. So part of the decentralization exercise, which is part of a larger kind of operations plan that I'll share with the board after we work out more details to it, embedded in that plan is a decentralization / empowerment of the property staff. So things like skilled trades, like regular maintenance and janitorial and hiring, firing, and inventory control, et cetera, that is now empowered. And that's the spirit of our OpMom. And that we're really taking the success of OpMom and we're going to be expanding the overall OpMom approach, but not waiting for OpMom to be fully operationalized. We're now looking at what we can do at the borough structure to bring down that kind of authority to the property level.
Because that's been a great complaint.
It's a huge issue, Ms.
Yes,
Lewis,
yes.
and I won't
We won't get into
on
all
my
that.
soapbox about the work that we're doing, that good work that is begun around, I wouldn't even say shifting, really breaking the ineffective structure of how we currently do some of that work. A lot of good people, a lot of good people wanting to do good work and not necessarily positioned to be successful. So I think it's our job, it's the GM's job, and to figure out what's the best system to position those people to do better work so we can see these metrics improve. And it's not going to be fixes around the edges.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate, at the next board meeting, we will be having month-to-month comparisons. Right, with your store, Jonas.
Jonas, yes.
So again, just some overall facts about Jonas. The largest snow event in NYCHA's history. Over 3,300 staff worked on Saturday, 23rd. Over 200 staff slept over at the sites on that Saturday night. And 3,300 staff worked on the Sunday. Snow removal operations were conducted Saturday from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., Sunday from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. By the Sunday, the majority of our clear path activity was completed. Monday, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m., continued widening sidewalks, expanding access routes, treating icy conditions, and clearing parking lots. A total of 674,218 linear feet was cleared. I just want to put that what that translates into. It's about the distance between New York City and Albany of effort that our staff did in a 2 to 3 day period, and it's something that clearly the chair and I are very, very proud of the efforts of the men and women that worked in that. 19 injuries were reported, mostly on slips and falls. That's always one of the dangers of an event like this. And 176 residents were hired as temporary snow workers during that period. All right. So one of the things that happened here, I'll do this very quickly. This snow event, we used a new snow preparation and removal procedure. Part of the procedure gets back to Snow Falls is having our workers stretch before they go to work. It seems like a no-brainer, but we actually have built that into our procedures. Built into the procedures are other things, though, where it's not just an event, we're year-round planning. We actually had a pre-storm kind of drill on December 17th. It was like one of the hottest days ever recorded in December. And our folks were out there with snow shovels and testing blowers, et cetera. And I think a lot of this stuff, and also what we've done in terms of our reporting, a lot of the things I think have added to our successes of this event, but we're not stopping on that. And I'll share with you in a second the kind of after-event activities we're going to continue to look at. So these are the major incidents that happened during that storm period. So there was, we identified four developments with no electrical service. 5 had no elevator service. 3 had no heat. 5 had no hot water, and 1 no water at all. And the overall average hours to restore was about 18 hours, which again, it's really amazing considering the catastrophic nature of this event. We were actually tracking our repairs at about the same time we would be tracking them on a regular basis. Okay, just very briefly, I wanted to share with you some of the tools that we use this time around. One of the tools is our data survey tool. And what this does, it looks at sort of the larger, looks at our larger activities and percentage of completed. We'll look at how much percentage-wise do we clear of areas around hydrants, how many areas around interior and exterior walkways. And so again, this is a tool that we're continuing to try to perfect, but it's a way of getting real-time updates about how quickly we're taking care of all the work across the agency. We also have a tool that identifies headcount during an event by classification, who's there and where are they working and how long they are working on those sites. And finally, we've identified a snow map where we have a color-coded approach to those areas that are high priority and measuring timing around getting that work done. So there is going to be after-action reviews.
So you have the map for each of the sites?
Yes. Yeah. So we're geo-mapping what the needs are and geo-mapping our performance on a regular basis during the event. And finally, there's an after-action review report. What worked and what didn't work. It's always about improvements. There was a meeting this morning that took place with property managers and custodians, et cetera, about just gathering data. Mike Rosen and the capital team are going to be doing a very similar thing, and then we're looking to have an executive team after-action briefing for the chair next Tuesday. And that board completes the general manager's report.
Thank you, GM. I just one moment. Just to say, it's fine. You know, when we talk about fundamentally changing our business, part of this is an example of that, which is the kind of, you know, basic planning that I'm sure has happened and happened in pockets of the agency, but I think having the kind of coordinated direction and leadership from the GM and the entire team, but really empowering the men and women at our sites is an example of our shift towards a more 21st century model of property management. Doesn't mean we're going to get it right 100% of the time, but I think this was a really strong performance for the Housing Authority. The mayor himself commended us at various points over the weekend, of which many of us were on many calls. But I think it is a true testament to the capacity for us to improve is there when there's a very clear plan. So I want to thank the GM, operations, capital, the entire HR, all of the folks who really worked to ensure that residents, more importantly, could, you know, be in and out of their homes as safely as possible.
Chair, we may now proceed with our calendar for today. Item number 1.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Louis Ponce, Senior Vice President of Operations for Support Services. I'll be presenting item number 1, which seeks to increase the not to exceed amount of the Manhattan Requirement Contract with New York Boiler Incorporated for boiler welding and repair services by 50%, as permitted by the original requirement contract. This is being done in order to fund the continued provision of services during the remainder of the initial term. There is a replacement contract that has already been bid, and it's presently undergoing the award process. Additionally, we would like to change the originally presented contract number 1400219 to the iPro generated contract number of 1400421. No funds were expended under the original contract number. The scope of this contract is to furnish all labor, supervision, materials, scaffolding, and equipment to perform boiler and hot water tank repairs. The original not to exceed amount of this contract was $931,542.72. The new not to exceed amount will be $1,397,314.08. New York Boiler has satisfactorily completed approximately $8.4 million worth of boiler welding and repair services for the authority over the last 5 years. I respectfully request your approval for this resolution.
Questions?
Thank you.
Good morning, Chris Hahn from Energy Finance, the Director, on behalf of the Finance team. I'm here to present an amendment for 2 board resolutions. The board had approved two resolutions in November. This is an amendment because on those original board resolutions, the contract number was improperly placed. So we are revising the board resolutions to put in the correct contract order, and that will enable, because these are requirements contracts, thus will have a number of different work orders that can be charged to them. So I respectfully ask for your permission for these 2 amendments.
Questions? No. Thank you.
Morning.
Good morning.
VP Darrell Nelson for Public Safety. I'm here to talk about items 4 and board item number 5. I'm requesting that Guardian Security, that's resolution 15-11, 18/30, be rescinded. We have a contract with them for 3 years in the amount of $10 million for security services in Queens, Staten Island, and main offices within there. They failed to hold this proposal price past 120 days, so we're looking to rescind that agreement. That's item number 4.
Okay.
For item number 5, it's looking to adjust the 2 things. Looking to adjust for FJC, the other security company, to take over those particular areas that Guardian would have covered. And in addition, we're looking to change the number. There is a contract number we're looking to change from 15,25634 to 16,00185 to accurately reflect the number that is on the provision. So those are the two items. We'll have FJC take over what the Guardian was going to do and make that amendment to the number to make it correct.
Just a question, is this you may say this, how long was this contract for?
3 years,
3
ma'am.
years. And 3 years, even with the now collapsing of the two?
Yes, not to exceed 3 years. And we're looking just to add the Guardian amount to the already amount that FJC has.
And they have the capacity? So the argument before was it was important to have two firms.
Yes. But a part of the agreement in the RFP is that at any given time, NYCHA has the right to increase their workload, and the consultants have agreed as part of their contract to cover if need be.
Just to clarify, that's part of the agreement with FJC.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. Michael Rosen, Acting Executive Vice President for Capital Projects. I'll be presenting items number 6 through 13. Item number 6, request authorization to award a contract for architectural and engineering physical needs assessment and energy audit services to STV and AECOM in a joint venture for the amount of $22,941,755. The objective for these services is to enable the authority to better assess its capital needs, the capital needs of its portfolio, and facilitate capital planning, both short and long term. Moreover, these services will enable HUD to measure the impact of the annual capital fund appropriations on the physical needs of the authority's portfolio. This is a requirement. Every 5 years, we do a physical needs assessment. This was actually originally on the December calendar. We withdrew this because the new joint venture of AECOM and STV had not filed all the proper paperwork, and thus a VNC could not be started at that time. STV and AECOM formed the joint venture for this work. Their references for past work were found satisfactory, although this is the first time working as a joint venture. Both of these firms have performed architectural and engineering projects for the authority. Its team members are familiar with NYCHA and have extensive working knowledge of our properties. They understand the scope of this work and have the capacity to perform the work satisfactorily. The VNC was requested on 12/30/2015 and is pending. No contract will be issued until the VNC is completed and approved. We would ask for the authorization to award this contract.
Thank you.
Item number 7, request the authorization to approve a change order at Park Avenue, East 122nd and 123rd Streets to M. Buin Construction Construction Company Incorporated in the amount of $1,426,000. The original contract value for this was $2,356,252.35. This contract provides for building envelope and restoration work connected to Local Law 11 facade conditions. The work includes, but not limited to, the replacement of roofing, windows, repair of coping and parapet walls, facade restoration, and asbestos abatement. The reason for this change order is that the design specifications called for windows to be replaced without disturbing the first generation of window caulking. That's the original caulking on the windows. CPD performed the window installation mock-up test, which actually verified that the first generation caulking would be disturbed while the windows are replaced. Because this caulking may contain asbestos, once disturbed, it must be abated. As such, the abatement of the first generation caulking for all windows must be performed. This change order is for that abatement. It's for caulking abatement, the caulking at 416 windows in 2 buildings.
Ms. Rosen, so love the idea that we're doing mock-up tests. Do we do this before we go out to bid or after?
After.
Why after?
Because we do it with the contractor. We do it together. It's
Right.
a joint test that
Right.
goes on with the contractor.
Right.
So they're present, they perform the mock-up with us.
I was just wondering if we, just from a scoping perspective, we've talked a lot about how our bid packages, one way in which to ensure better responses is to have a really full understanding of what the potential scope would be.
Yep.
So if I would imagine most of our buildings have some first or second generation level of asbestos that has to be abated. So is there a way in which we can look at our bid packages to adjust so that we can have fewer change orders around this particular
Yeah,
issue?
so we certainly will look into that, and that makes complete sense. I will say that in most cases, we would anticipate disturbing that caulking, and it would be included in anyway, and could always be deducted later if we don't have to.
Right.
In this case, there was a real feeling that we would not have to do it. They did not believe that the caulking would be disturbed.
Okay. I would really encourage us to really make sure our bid packages are as tight as possible, because it costs the authority money every
Yep.
time, as you know, to do these types of change orders if they could be avoided,
And time.
and time.
Absolutely. Item number 8, request authorization to award a requirements contract for grounds improvement at various developments in the Bronx to M. Buin Construction Company Incorporated for $2 million. Capital Projects is issuing several requirements contracts as part of a comprehensive plan to address grounds improvements at various developments citywide. These requirements contracts are funded by a city capital grant. As such, they're each designed with a predefined budget. This is one of 6 grounds requirement contracts. The work includes, but is not limited to, removal and replacement of various pavements and curbs, installation of new play equipment, safety surfacing, steel bar fencing, site furnishings, lighting, spray showers, and renovations to basketball courts. M. Buin is a minority-owned business that has been in operation since 2007. They performed 2 projects for NYCHA as prime contractor, valued at over $4.5 million. As a subcontractor, they have performed several modernization projects with the New York City School Construction Authority, valued at over $2 million, and their work was found to be satisfactory.
That's great. Questions?
Item number 9, request authorization to award a contract at Astoria Houses for the restoration associated with the Sandy Recovery Program to Navalis Tile Incorporated, doing business as Navalis Contracting, for the amount of $54,789,210. Astoria Houses consists of 22 buildings. 8 of those buildings were damaged by Hurricane Sandy. This scope of work addresses those 8 buildings that were damaged. The scope of work includes, but not limited to, the installation of backup standby gas-powered generators at each of the buildings, with new electrical service, electrical rooms, and equipment relocated above the flood zones, flood walls to prevent future storm damage, new mechanical equipment, including water heaters, pumps, new interior finishes, doors, hardware, concrete stair, flood barriers, and partitions in the affected areas. Navalis has been in operation since 1987. They've performed 5 contracts for NYCHA as a prime contractor, valued at over $108 million, and 16 projects as a subcontractor, valued at over $151 million. This is another big moment for us, a big step in the Sandy recovery. This is one of the full Sandy recovery projects that we're commencing with.
Did you use STV or any of the architectural firms to give us the design so that going forward, we're gonna have different designs in case if there's another storm? So we're not gonna renovate back to what it was before.
Right,
It has
so-
to be
So
elevated.
Right, so the way this was funded, it's $54 million. A portion of that is for repairs of things that were damaged. About approximately 50% of it is for building resiliency and mitigation towards future storms. So all of FEMA funded us for both, and that is happening at every development. Every Sandy impacted development has a component of repairs and replacement, as well as resiliency and mitigation towards future storms. Item number 10, request authorization to exercise the third and final 2-year renewal option to National Grid Energy Management LLC's agreement in the amount of $2,616,935.28. In 2007, NYCHA entered into an agreement with National Grid Energy Management to provide third-party operation and maintenance of heating systems at 5 developments: Boulevard, Linden, Coney Island, Haber, and Bronx River houses. The agreement provided extensions for the agreement and its extensions provide for management, supervision, labor, tools, parts necessary to operate, maintain, and repair heating systems in the 5 developments that I just mentioned. In addition, this agreement includes assisting the authority staff in addressing individual resident heat complaints.
Coney Island, that's also Sandy impacted.
Correct.
Aren't we supposed to be doing something? The $2 million doesn't seem like a lot of money. That means you're just doing the current heating systems, not anything new.
No, so this contract is just to maintain them. We're going to be building new systems out at Coney Island. That's separate and apart from this.
Okay.
This is just for the ongoing maintenance and service of those systems.
Until we get to the new stuff.
Even with the new stuff, it would include that they would be maintaining whatever system is at that development. Items number 11 and 12 request the rejection of exterior restoration requirements contracts for various developments citywide. NYCHA put out 3 bids for requirement contracts. One was approved at the December board meeting. We're requesting to reject the remaining 2. Upon further review and discussions with the Mayor's Office and Office of Emergency Management regarding funding and construction timeline, it was determined that it's in the best interest to reject these contracts, come back with site-specific contracts instead of citywide contracts, because we know which developments we're going to do the work at. And additionally, we're going to reduce the direct contract duration from 730 days to 480 days. So when it was a requirements contract and we didn't know where the work necessarily would take place, we had 730 days. Now that we know where the work is going to take place, we know that the funding will be in place, we're reducing that to 480 days. So we'll be back to the board with those new contracts. We request to reject these 2. Item number 13, request the authority to increase the capacity of a requirement contract for cleanup, asbestos abatement, and restoration of apartments in various developments in Brooklyn in the amount of $9,171,786.57. This contract is a GEMCO contract. Sorry, just lost my. Since the award of the original contract, an additional 88 apartments were determined to require restoration work, of which 30 of those apartments are part of the Mayor's Homeless Initiative. As such, we are requesting authorization to increase GEMCO's contract to cover the cost of the additional work. I tell you, we have 2 contracts with GEMCO. This contract was specifically for apartments, and this is the first increase to this contract. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, 13 items were presented for board approval. Do I have a motion to accept?
Make a motion.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Move.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Thank you very much, everyone. See you next month.
Hi, so.
Mike.
Okay, okay.